Alright, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy Mr. DG94 here, back with part 2 of what I'm now calling my throwback tales. Throwback tales. We're going to call it hashtag TBT throwback tales. So that's what we're going to call it. It's going to call this throwback tales. And this is part 2 of the last story. This is going to feature some new characters and some of the same characters. And tell them by the title, this is probably going to be an interesting story that you're going to want to listen to. So without further ado, let's just hop right into it. So as we all know from the last story, what happened last time was I got some head. I gave some head and I got some head. Put it like that. I licked coochie, she sucked my dick. Okay, whatever. So I just left with this incentive, like when I come back next summer, it's on and cracking next summer. And I was just like so ready and so hyped to just do it right then and there. But you know, but the summer did not start off as planned. As on the first day is when I got back, I was too tired to like go see her, and I didn't feel like going to see her. I was very tired from the road trip, and I needed to like rest my legs because my legs, you know, cramped up in the back of that van. I was just like, okay, I need to rest. I was tired. I didn't feel like going to see her, so I was like, whatever. And so the first day I got back, I said, fuck it, I'm gonna go see her tomorrow. Little did I know, the next day she goes to go see her family, ironically on the day I come back. Now I know you like, well, couldn't you have just called her? Did she give you a phone number? Couldn't you have called her? Yeah, she gave me her phone number, but I lost it. Like, I didn't remember. I only had the phone number for so long. Like, I had it for literally about, I want to say 4 months. I only called her like twice. So I only called her twice. Like when I was like one time when I got in trouble and I couldn't like touch my PlayStation 2 for like, I couldn't touch my PlayStation 2. I was on punishment or whatever. I just like sneak the phone. I just like sneak on the phone, just talk to her, because I just needed somebody to cheer me up. Or one time I got into it with this one chick, got into it with this one girl, and that's gonna be another story that I might tell eventually down the line too. My first like physical fight with a girl. Don't hit girls, by the way, but my fight with this girl, you'll understand the story when I tell it eventually. But I had to call her and I tell her about this whole situation because it was crazy. But other than that, after a while I lost the phone number. I don't know how I lost the phone number, but I lost it. So I could have called her, but I lost the phone number, so I was ass out there. Then going over to her house and finding out that she wasn't going to be back till Monday. So I'm like, so it's like I'm saying, I got there on Thursday. She left the same day I came back. So I'm like, I can wait till Monday. It was cool. I could wait till Monday. Then I go back to her house again on Monday, and her mom says she's gonna stay there until Thursday because she didn't feel like coming home. She didn't feel like coming home today. She said she wanted to come back on Thursday. So she was pretty much with her family for a whole week. Now, was I upset? Yes, but could I be up? Did I have a right to be upset at her? No, because that was her decision. You know what I'm saying? It could be like, it could have been like, you gotta think about it. I'm going down south to see family. It could have been somebody that really wanted to hang out with me and kick it with me, and they could be probably upset because I'm gonna be gone for like a couple of months, or pretty much the whole summer. Because when I go down south for the summer, I don't come back until like it's close to school starting. So yeah, There's that, and then we get to, so in between this time, there's this new character that's gonna be involved into the story, and you're gonna have to remember it because she's gonna come in later in this story here. So she was a friend of all my cousins. Now, not all my female cousins. I got a lot of female cousins, and she was just a friend. And she used to just hang out with them and stuff like that. And I just used to hate. And I just used to hate all my cousins' friends because they were like, they always butted in, and you know, they always make fun of me. Like, all my cousins would make fun of me, and then next thing you know, their friends making fun of me and talking down on me, and they would be very rude. And this girl was no different, but she wasn't like, she was doing the same shit that all their friends do, like chastise me and irritate me and shit like that. But this girl was different. And how is this girl different? She just how is she different? She flirted with me for some odd reason. She took a liking to me, and I don't know how. It was like from the first moment she saw me, she just liked me right out the gate. I don't know how. I just got that effect on girls. I don't know, but she saw me. She wanted me. It wasn't hard to tell, because she was flirty with me the first day. Then the next day she had to I noticed that they was pressuring her, like, oh, you like him, and they were trying to make fun of her. So she was like, no, I don't. And then she was making fun of me the next day. So jumping in, you know, irritating me, doing what all the rest of their friends do. So yeah. So she was flirty with me, and I know you like, well, why are you flirting with this girl when you want to be with this girl? That's the problem. See, that's the problem with having a private relationship. Having a private relationship pretty much is like, it's hard to, having a private relationship is hard because there's going to be other people that's going to be interested in you, and how can you, and without them, and pretty much not letting, and pretty much with them, without them having the knowledge that you're in a relationship with somebody, it's pretty much going to create drama around your situation regardless. So the best thing for me to do, I could have just said I'm in a relationship, but like I said, I wanted to keep that private. I didn't want nobody to know that I was in a relationship with this girl, because I knew questions were going to be asked and stuff like that. So I had to keep my mouth closed. I just had to. I'm sorry. I had to. I couldn't tell that I'm in a relationship with a girl, because I would get chastised and people be like, oh, you like her, blah blah blah, sitting in a tree, KISSING, you know, all that stuff. I didn't want to go through all that. So I just let everything flow the way it was supposed to flow, and then I could have just threw her off, but it's hard for me to do that considering the fact that I'm not a rude person. I wasn't a rude person, nothing like that, and I didn't want to be rude to her. But I just didn't know how to tell her off, like, hey, I'm with somebody else at the moment. Like, I'm not interested in you or something like that. Even though I kind of was interested, because she was bad. I ain't gonna lie, she was bad, but she was ratchet too at the same time. So, but let's get to the point where she kind of like where things just started to get weird between me and her, like where she was really showing out. It was this one night, like I said, my cousins, you know, all my female cousins, you know, they had a little sleepover, whatever, and the sleepover had to be in the room that I was in, which was the living room, because that's the only room in the house I had to sleep in. So everybody's in the living room watching all these girly ass movies like Bring It On and fucking Love Don't Cost a Thing and stuff like that. And eventually we would watch this happened throughout the whole summer too, but luckily we was able to watch Friday a couple of times. I got to hook up a couple of times, but on this particular night they wanted to watch Baby Boy. And when it got to the scene where, you know, Jody and Yvette, you know, get it in.
I love you. I feel daddy sick.
Yeah, that scene. I had to leave the room because I didn't feel comfortable watching a sex scene with my cousin. I know they're all females and all that stuff, but you know, it's my cousin, and I didn't feel comfortable around them, especially with their friend too. Like I didn't feel comfortable. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go use the bathroom. And I tried to stall it, but I could hear them on the outside saying, when he come back out, we're gonna play it again. Go back to that part and play it again. I'm like, oh my goodness. So what I had to do was, when I came out, I had to run straight to the kitchen. So when I came back out, they played it again, and I just went straight to the kitchen. I didn't say nothing because they knew I was coming, and they was getting ready, and they played it over again, and I just walked straight into the kitchen. I didn't say nothing to them. I didn't acknowledge them. I just went straight into the kitchen. And I was like, oh my God, he is so scary. Why he don't want to watch this part with us? He is so scary. I'm like, whatever. I'm just like, I just didn't feel comfortable watching that part. I just don't feel comfortable watching sex scenes like that. Not that. You know, you gotta understand, I was young at that time. I wasn't really into girls, so yeah. Plus they're my cousins too. Like they already make fun of me as is. Like, come on. That's too much pressure right there. So there's that. Then we get to so now I'm in the kitchen. I'm getting me some juice and a popsicle, right? And all of a sudden the girl comes in there, the girl comes in there, and she's just like, oh, why you didn't want to watch it? You so scary and all this stuff. Why you scared and all this stuff? Like, you know what I'm saying? She just chastising me and irritating me. And I'm just like, whatever, man. So she gets a popsicle, and we just sitting there talking about absolutely nothing. And then I hear like they're not playing the part no more. They're letting the movie flow through, because they eventually stop playing and they just let the movie flow through. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back in there now, because I know they're not gonna go back as far as they got right now with the movie. I know they're not gonna go back. So I'm just like, okay, let me grab this popsicle real quick. I'm gonna go back in there. Now I grab my popsicle, and she goes back in there with me. Now I'm thinking like, now I saw her, now she was halfway done with her popsicle. So I'm like, okay, there's no way she's gonna get another popsicle. And she wasn't gonna get a popsicle. She closed the door where the popsicles were, and she took off her shirt. She took off her shirt, and she showed her titties. Now I gotta note this too. Homegirl was a little bit older. She was a little bit older than me. She was like 13. I'm like 10. She's 13. So there's that. And she just looked at me, and she just looked at me and said, you know you want it. She's like, you know you want it. Come get it. I'm like, I'm in complete shock. Like, I'm out of my mindset right now. Like, I'm not thinking clearly. Like, I'm just sitting, I'm in a room with a girl. She got her titties out. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do here in this situation? Like, I'm just sitting here like, what the fuck am I doing? Like what the fuck is going on here? And she's like, and she just still sitting there like, you know you want it, come get it. I'm like, I literally said this out loud. I meant to say this in my head, but I said it out loud on accident, and I said, I don't know what to do. And she's like, just lick it. Just come over here and lick them. I'm like, what? She's like, come and lick them. I'm like, oh my, I'm just out of My mind is just in a whole different place at this point. I'm just like, bruh. So I could have just said, I don't want to do it. I don't feel comfortable. But I didn't want to sound like a bitch, so I just did it. I know you like, how would you do it if you in a relationship with a girl and you want to go ahead with this other girl? Don't worry about that. Worry about that later on. So I go ahead, I lick on her titties for a little bit, then she starts kissing on me, and she got her hand all up, and she got her hands all up in my basketball shorts, you know, feeling on my, she feeling on. You know exactly what she feeling on. Don't act stupid. She all up in my basketball shorts. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like, during the time I'm kissing her, it felt so good. Like, you know, she just rubbing on it or whatever. Like, it seemed like she knew what she was doing here. But at the same time, I'm just in this mindset, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, everything just going 0 to 100 real quick, and I don't know what the fuck to do here. So I'm just like, you know what? Just let it go through and it'll be all over soon. It'll be all over soon. Just let it go through. So I let everything go through. And another thing too, like, when everybody got knocked out, like, I was halfway asleep because I was like, you know, like back around this time, like Martin used to come on at like 3 o'clock in the morning, like around like 2 or 1 o'clock in the morning. So it's like 2 or 1 o'clock in the morning and Martin is on. So I'm sitting there watching Martin. Now, just a little trivia fact about me. Martin is possibly one of my favorite shows ever that I love watching. Now, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was my number one, used to be my number one, but nothing compares to Martin. I'm gonna just say that right now. So I'm sitting there watching Martin, but I'm halfway asleep, and then all of a sudden, I feel a hand all on my area. I feel a hand just rub it all up on my area. I'm just like, what the fuck? I'm like, what the fuck? Because I'm halfway asleep, so I'm thinking like something crawled up on me, and I look down, it's her. She's like, you finna go to sleep? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, well, let me sleep with you. And I'm like, okay. You know damn well you can't sleep with me, because if we wake up in the morning, because you know when everybody wake up in the morning, they see us sleep, they ain't gonna notice. She's like, I'm telling you, they're not gonna notice. So she gets under the covers on the couch with me, and she just sitting there, and she's kissing on me and just rubbing on my dick the whole night, which is crazy. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do in this situation. I just let everything flow through. I'm like, it'll be all over in the morning. It'll be all over in the morning, dude. Just let it go. So I let it go through. Now let's zoom to when Homegirl came back. Now when Homegirl came back, we was planning on how we was gonna do this thing, do the wild thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I was wondering, like, how in the world are we gonna do this? And she was like, just come over on Friday. I was like, okay, just come over on Friday. I'm like, okay. So Friday, come over. Lo and behold, nobody's home. It's just her. Apparently she had an older sister who watched her, but her older sister was out. Like, she was just out about in the neighborhood, just going over people's houses, seeing what's up, whatever. So I'm like, okay, so this is a perfect time. Like, she picked the perfect time and the perfect place for me to come over, because she came over to my house, and she was over to my grandma's house, and she was like, come on. She was like, come on. And we go over to her house, and that's when the magical moment happened. Yes, the magical moment happened. We went a lot further than we did the last time we was in her bedroom. So yeah. it wasn't even supposed to be like that at first, because she clearly said that she didn't want to go that far. She was like, I know last time yada 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 we went far and we went there, but I don't want to go that far. And then eventually she just said fuck it, threw it out the book, and just went along with it, because I didn't want to go through with it. But we was just doing so much freaky shit to each other, like one thing led to another, and you know, it just built up. The love was in the air, and everything just built up, so it led to that moment. And I gotta say, it was a pretty good experience for my first time too. Didn't have no problems, besides the fact that I was too young to bust a nut. So there was a long period of time where we just in her room, and it literally took a knock on the door, because I didn't know how long I was in her room. I'm thinking I've been in her room for like an hour, bro. Like, real talk. I'm thinking I've been in her room for like an hour. I'm thinking we just going at it for like an hour. We started at like 2 o'clock. Before I knew it, it was 6 o'clock. Now around 6 o'clock, it starts to get dark. So around 6 o'clock, it's like, okay, well, around 6 o'clock, I at least got to be back in the house. Like I said, it didn't have a curfew, but you know, it's just nice to know where I am. And it was 6 o'clock. I didn't know. I haven't been seen since 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So everybody's kind of nervous, like, where the fuck is he at? Where the fuck is he at? And I'm like, oh shit. So I had to stop my magical moment. My magical moment was cut short, you know, a couple hours, you know, ahead. But you know, it was just crazy, man. I don't know what to say, but it was just a magical moment. I don't know how to describe it or say what happened, because everything happened, and it felt like it happened within a good like hour or so, even though it was like 4.5 hours or 3.5 hours. I don't know. It was like 3.5 hours, and I didn't even notice it. It just happened so quick. Like, everything just went 0 to 100 real quick, and we just did it. So from that point forward, we tried to do it again, but it was kind of hard. We almost did it again. Like, it was sad, because throughout that whole summer, I only got that one good opportunity with her, and like the rest of the other times was like fails, because we couldn't do it. It was like somebody was just there. Like, we only had that one day. Like, it wasn't like they suspected that, you know, we were, you know, fucking, but it was just like, it's somebody always there at the moment, and it was just hard to get it in. So I was like, you know what, whatever. So it was like, you know what, whatever. So it gets around that time where she has to go back to school, because like I said, kids down south go back to school in August, and up north where I live, we go back to school in September. So she's back in school, and so there's little time that me and her can see each other. So throughout that time, I'm pretty much just, you know, by myself at this point. Like, I didn't have nobody to like kick it with. You know what I'm saying? Like, all my cousins, you know what I'm saying, they in school, so they pretty much back at their house. There ain't no more sleepovers, nothing like that, unless it's the weekend. So I'm pretty much by myself, sadly. But the friend, remember her? Do y'all remember her? The one that closed the laundry door room and got real close and intimate with me. Her, yes, her. She she set me up, and she did a pretty good job. She already set me up once with the laundry room and the popsicle thing. Okay, that was a good setup. And then then I was halfway asleep, and then she got to sleep with me. But then came this day right here, and this day was I don't know what to say about this day. All I can say is that this day was everything just went 0 to 100 real quick, and I don't know how the fuck it all happened, but here it goes. So she lives down the street from one of my cousins. So she's at my cousin's house. Now my cousin, like I said, nobody knows that I'm in a relationship with the other girl. So because nobody knows this, everybody just assumes that I'm just single. Even though people were kind of getting skeptical about it, because me and her were like seen around each other more often than what we used to be. But it was mainly like for just basketball. Like they only saw us at the park playing basketball. They never saw us like doing anything else. Like we weren't kissing and stuff like that. Like we were just playing basketball or wherever. So yeah, nobody really suspected anything, which was a good thing, but also a bad thing, because it also led to you know, people just assuming that I'm not in a relationship with somebody. So because people were assuming this, my cousin felt it was okay to set me up and put me in her room with her friend. And I'm like, and this is how it all happened. So we all sitting there, we watching fucking 106 in Park, right? Back when it was good. Back when AJ and Free was still on the show. Like, yes, that 106 in Park, the good 106 in Park. So we still sitting there, and we were just watching 106 in Park, and it's like, okay. And she goes in the room, and she made it seem like she dropped something. She was like, oh my god, can y'all help me? And it was like, okay. She's like, come on, let's go help her. And I'm like, go help her, because she breaks something in my room or whatever, like help us or whatever. So I'm like, okay, I'll help you. And little do I know, my cousin literally pushes me into her room. Note, this is my cousin's house. Nobody's here. Remember, these girls are 13 years old. They're teenagers, so it's like they don't, you know, there's no adult supervision needed for them. So nobody's there. It's just us three there. And she pushes me into the room. She pushes me into the room and closes the door. I'm like, what the fuck? And the next thing I know, homegirl standing in front of me butt ass naked. Like, I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? And one thing led to another, and well, I hate to say it, but I gave in, and I just, you know, I gave in, and I just let her take the wheel. I just let Jesus take the wheel, and he just steered me right into her, right in between her legs. Like I'm literally sitting here with this girl, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm sitting here. This has been probably one of the most wildest summers I've ever had in my life, and I'm in this room with this girl who I'm kind of attracted to, but not really, because I was more attracted to the girl I was with. But like I said, we couldn't be able to do nothing. Like, we only had that one time, and that was it. Now with this girl, it was a whole nother ball game. because the shit that just happened during this was so weird. It was different from with the other girl. So with the other girl, it was like, with the other girl, it was like, you know, it was nice, it was smooth, it went okay. Then with this girl, it was different and weird because she wasn't prepared, but she was very conscious. She was very conscious. Like I said, me and the other girl, we didn't think about, you know, STDs and stuff like that. We wasn't thinking about like condoms and stuff like that. Like we just went in. You know what I'm saying? So it was like whatever. Then it come to this girl, you know, she's a little older, so she's a little bit more, you know, I need to look out for myself type of thing. I'm just like, okay. So we already getting it in, right? And midway through it, she like, okay, I need to get a condom because I don't feel comfortable. I'm like, dude, we already halfway in. What are you talking about? So she literally she literally leaves the room and tries to find a condom. Now, no, you know, I'm like 10. I know I'm like 10 years old. So my you know, size, you know, my size at that time, you know, I'm not up there yet. I'm not where I am today. So let's just leave that there. Like my size just wasn't up to where it is right now. So she tried one condom, it didn't work. It couldn't fit me. So, and that was the only condom that she had too, by the way. So since it couldn't fit me, she had to go back. I bullshit you not. She came back into the fucking room, and I bullshit you not. She came back into the room with a fucking Walmart bag and cut that bitch up. She cut that bitch up and then just wrapped around my dick and just started fucking me again. Like, I was like, what the fuck is this shit? And the fucked up part is when we was done, when she was done, the fucking plastic bag, the fucking part of the plastic bag was nowhere to be found. That's just the funny part about the whole situation. Like, that plastic bag was nowhere to be found. That's the funny part about all of it. I bullshit you not. This was probably the worst experience. It was probably like a good yet bad experience at the same time. Like, dude, like, what the fuck is this shit? But I'm like, whatever. Just go with the flow, man. Just go with the flow. And ultimately, this leads up to, you know, I said, watch out for the end, because this is where the shit gets real. So this happens on the day of my birthday too. Note, I just want y'all to note that this happens on the day of my birthday. So now I'm 11 years old, and on my birthday, I get the best birthday present. I get the best birthday present I'm pretty sure anybody who's sexually active could ask for. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I'm 11 years old. Let me get some pussy. Like, I don't want the new PlayStation mom. I don't want the new Xbox mom. I want some pussy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy. I got the best experience, but it came with a price because of this incident that I let happen. It ultimately led to her being so public about it, saying like, oh yeah, we fucked or whatever. And I guess word got around, and when it got around to the girl that, you know, I was in a relationship with, it kind of fucked things up, and I was really like, what the fuck? Like, the word got around, but luckily, you know, the adults didn't catch on to, you know, what the fuck happened, but thank God for that. But around the neighborhood, you know, some of the girls in the neighborhood, you know, it was like, oh, they fucked or whatever, they had sex or whatever, yada yada yada. So, you know, when it got to her, it just led to some shit, and that just pretty much led into you know, me not wanting to come back, because when she found out, she let me know exactly how she felt, and it wasn't a good sight. But at the end of the day, you know, nowadays, you know, we cool now, but you know, it could never be the same as what it used to be, because you know, I didn't mean for it to happen, but the shit just happened, man. I was young at the time, man, so that was my wild, crazy summer, man. I turned 11, got pussy from 2 girls, and it led to a bunch of drama that I don't have a lot of time to talk about here. But let's just say it just led to me not coming back for a couple years. So yeah, that's where I'm gonna leave it at, and I'll see you guys in the next video.